Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Q&A in Science. I'm your host Currio. Today we are diving into some out-of-this-world science happening right here at the Faculty of Science. And joining me is Anouk EHREISER. Hi Anouk.
Hi Currio.
Anouk is a PhD student in the Department of Earth Sciences and also part of the astrobiology group led by Professor Yi-Liang Li. Thanks for joining us, Anouk.
Thanks for inviting me, Currio.
Astrobiology. That sounds super cool. What exactly is astrobiology?
So, astrobiology is a study of life in the universe. We look for life in other planets and try to understand how life began on Earth.
Wait, are we talking about aliens?
Yes, exactly like aliens. So, it's a relatively new field because we've only recently developed all the tools to detect life on other planets. My research focused on the search for life on Mars. Maybe you have seen pictures of the rovers on Mars, Currio?
Yes, they are amazing.
So these rovers are filled with all kinds of scientific instruments. And thanks to these rover missions, we have a much better understanding now what Mars is like, what the conditions are like, and what the best places might be to look for life.
But how do you even begin to look for life on Mars? No one knows what it looks like, right?
That's a great question, Currio. So the challenge is that we've never seen alien life before. But we use our knowledge of life on Earth to make educated guesses about what we might find.
So you're like space detectives. How do you go about this investigation?
Yes, it's a little bit like detective work. So what we hope to find are clues to ancient life on Mars that may have already gone extinct. Mars today is a cold, dry desert with a thin carbon dioxide atmosphere. But a long time ago, Mars had rivers, lakes, maybe even an ocean.
Wow, really?
Yes, about 3 to 4 billion years ago, so a long time ago. And Mars and Earth might have looked quite similar during this time, much more similar than they are today. Around this time, life on Earth was already existing, but only as microbes. Multicellular life, like plants and animals, only developed much later. So we think, if there was life on Mars at the same time, it was probably microbial too.
So no fossils of Martian animals or plants, but maybe microbial fossils. But they must be so small. What do fossils of microbes even look like?
That's a great question, Currio. So microbes are tiny, but they often form large colonies called microbial mats, which can be seen without a microscope. Sometimes these even form rocks called stromatolites, and they still exist today in extreme environments. We also find fossil stromatolites that are very, very old. They are some of the oldest evidence we have for life on Earth. By studying modern examples of stromatolites and other microbial communities, we can learn how to recognize their fossils, but also how they adapt and survive in extreme environments. That in case we find them on Mars, we'll be able to recognize them.
That sounds like a lot of detective work. What's the most exciting part of your research?
For me, it's the fieldwork. So for my PhD, I travel to extreme environments on Earth that resemble Mars. The places I go to are dry, cold deserts, often high up in the mountains. So you have to imagine being in a place where you don't see animals or plants. It's just you, the rocks, and the microbes. Makes me feel like a time traveler thinking, wow, this is what Mars might have been like in the past.
That sounds like an adventure. What's the most surprising thing you have discovered in these places?
I think the most surprising thing is the resilience of life on Earth. Even in the harshest conditions, we find microbes. And they're not just surviving, they're thriving. They build big colonies. It's amazing how life finds a way to always survive and adapt. And it also gives us hope that life could exist in similarly extreme environments in other planets.
Can you tell us more about these microbial mats? They sound fascinating.
So microbial mats are large colonies of microorganisms. They often have multiple layers. And every layer contains a different group of microorganisms. And there's a whole cycle of nutrients. So it's like a little ecosystem. They can be colorful with shades of green, orange, black, even purple. And they feel a little slimy and look like jelly. But sometimes these structures also lithify. That means that they form rock, which often has very distinctive shapes. And these are also often the ones that we find as fossils.
They are like nature's artwork. How do you study them?
We use all kinds of different tools, but my favorite one is Raman spectroscopy, with which we can analyze the composition of these mats, like the minerals, but also the organic composition of the microbes. Mars rovers have similar instruments, so by studying these mats on Earth, we can also get better at interpreting the data that we get from Mars. In the future, we might also get some samples from Mars we can directly study in our laboratories here on Earth. These missions are called sample return missions. So hopefully, with everything that we've learned about life here on Earth, we will be able to recognize Martian life too.
It's like you're preparing for a big interplanetary detective mission.
Yes, every little piece of data we collect brings us one step closer to understanding whether we are alone in the universe or if life exists elsewhere.
What it would mean for humanity if we found life on Mars?
I think it would be one of the most important discoveries in history. It would probably change our understanding of life's origins, maybe also our own place in the universe, and would also raise new questions about the potential for life on other planets and moons in our solar system and beyond.
That's so exciting! I can't wait to see what you discover next. Thank you so much, Anouk, for sharing your incredible research with us.
Thank you, Currio. It's been a pleasure talking to you and sharing my work.
Thanks for joining us, Anouk. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious.
Bye bye.